Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you. Let's get right on into it. All right, folks, I can't even pronounce the word. What is going on here? This is Grant Frerking, F-R-E-R-K-I-N-G. Not saying a bad word, so chill.
You don't need to hear things like that. You just a boy. You need to think about good thoughts while you still a boy.
Although some of his customers may consider it a bad word right now. We're going to talk about Grant. Now, this is a fella, I was trying to jog my memory. I remember him kind of being like a big deal at one point back in the day. When he was a walk-on at Tennessee, and he had a straw business back in the day. He was the CEO of a company that was $1 million company, which if you've ever run a company, you can, gross $1 million. How much you have left over, though, if you're lucky if you get 10% of that. And a lot of times people, they may take in $1 million, but they might spend 1.1. And that may be where he's at right now. But this is a guy that started out strong and kind of the toast of the town, so to speak, type of guy. A lot of the press really liked him because he was a player and a walk-on, and he had this company with straw, and he got involved with NIL on some level. But right now, he's in a lot of hot water. Well, let's take a look at where he was just a few years ago.
The most interesting walk-on football player in America, Grant Frerking. He's a wide receiver at Tennessee. He's also the CEO of his own company. He's also a guy who helps his teammates do NIL deals and also handles part of the NIL business at On3, which is another site that covers college football. I don't know how the man sleeps, but he is incredible, insightful, and it's just a really fun conversation with a guy who was probably smarter at 15 than I will ever be in my entire life. So enjoy the show. Here's Grant Frerking, the most interesting walk-on in America. Welcome to the Andy Staples Show, presented by Sling. We have a very special guest today, and it is a person who makes me feel like an absolute failure, because I remember when I was in college, and I thought I did some stuff. I walked onto a football team. I did some writing for newspapers, made a little bit of money, bought enough to buy a keg or two. This guy is now in his 6th year as a walk-on wide receiver at Tennessee. He's been the CEO of his own landscaping company, and we're not talking about the kids who walk around the neighborhood and mow the lawn. We're talking about real deal trucks, dozens of employees, all of it. And he's now helping people break into the NIL space. Grant Frerking, welcome.
Andy, thanks for having me on, brother. You thanks for the list of accolades, man. I can't believe I'm still playing while doing all those things, but here we are, brother. About to kick it off here in 2 weeks.
You provide pine straw to large institutions. Like if you are a large university and you want to buy tons of pine straw for landscaping purposes, you're the guy they go to. And you started this company when you were 15.
I was 15 years old. I'm the youngest of 4, and all my older siblings went and played a college sport as well. And so I knew that's, the route I wanted to go, where I was going to go, what sport it was going to be. I was between football and basketball, and kind of at what level was kind of all up in the air. And my dad had told all of us kids, he was like, you guys are either going to go play a sport and you'll walk on, you'll get a scholarship, you're going to do that, or you're going to go and you're going to have a full-time job and you're going to work. You're not just going to be a lousy kid that sits around at the frat house all day and, doesn't do a thing. And so, I started thinking at 15 years old, I was like, man, what do I want to do with, my remaining years in high school? And then eventually when I get to college, and I was like, man, I really want to, make money, like real money. I don't want to go and just get a minimum wage job, being a lifeguard or.
Oh, yeah, and that's not all. Like I said, he was on other newscasts, too, back in the day.
Grant Frerking is a student athlete and student CEO. Since his high school days at the Wesleyan School in Peachtree Corners, Frerking has run a ground cover business. His specializing in pine straw called Metro Straw. Yes, he started it in high school and still runs it while playing college football. Now he's taking that business acumen to the name, image, likeness world.
It's not just autographs, stamps, all that stuff, or it could be the next best toothbrush. It could be, the next best paper towel, or, the best dry fit t-shirt that comes out. I mean, you have like a coaching search happen, you have a big hire happen. There's always that media hype, everyone's excited. And what our goal is, we just want to carry that momentum and keep it going forward.
Which is why Frerking is starting GTF Enterprises, a new business that will work to connect college athletes with money-making opportunities and focus on doing things the right way.
There's kind of the elephant in the room, and everyone doesn't want to see it turn into pay to play, turn into go from school to school just because they have this guy in this town that's paying this for this engagement. Enjoy being a college student athlete still, and with all the experiences, environment of that, but also be able to use your NIL to make money. That's when it'll be special. I just don't want to compromise the portion of college football and what makes that so special.
Yeah. So obviously he was a media darling, and you can understand why. Seems like a well-spoken young man, and right now it's not going so well for him. It appears he's gotten ahead of his skis, and I'll let you see this.
Live at 5, police in Roswell are now investigating a former college football player.
Now he's accused of selling thousands of dollars in pine straw, but keeping the cash. Atlanta News First consumer investigator Better Call Harry spoke to neighbors who live in the Brookville Country Club off Highway 92 in Roswell. And Harry, you're here to tell us more about what's going on here.
We are. There's a lot to tell about this individual. Roswell police confirmed that they are investigating 26-year-old Grant Frerking. He was a popular player at the University of Tennessee. And before that, he had a pine straw company. His customers allege he offered a 10% discount if they paid in advance, but they all claim he never delivered.
Come on in. Grant Frerking is smoking the cigar.
This is a 2022 post-game interview from our sister station in Knoxville with the University of Tennessee's Grant Frerking. He made a name for himself.
I'm so excited for this weekend. I'm so excited for the rest of the season.
After graduation, he went to work for On3, a high school and college football recruiting firm. Back in his teens, he founded a successful pine straw company called Metro Straw. His LinkedIn profile says it was the largest installer in the Southeast, but he sold the company in 2021. The current owner says the two are not affiliated in any way, but he's still selling. Here's a post. Sale ends today on mulch orders. Email Grant.
But he definitely knows the business. When he quit, I've gotten pine straw done multiple times. Everything looked legit. It was on the up and up.
John Frierson says Frerking delivered to some neighbors, but he paid $1,900 and got nothing. He bought the pine straw you see here from someone else.
I just put my guard down.
Frierson isn't the only neighbor in the Brookfield Country Club subdivision in North Atlanta who alleges that Frerking took payments for pine straw and mulch but never delivered. Complaints started popping up on the neighborhood's Facebook page. Frierson says 15 neighbors paid a total of $16,000.
Well, number one, you're kind of stressed because you're like, wow, and now what happens? Then you're kind of angry. That's kind of evolved more into this feeling of I kind of feel bad for the guy. Like I'm trying to understand, why is he doing this?
Another neighbor who talked to Atlanta News First off camera says she paid Frerking $1,200.
And you guys, have you asked for your money back at this point?
Oh, yeah. I think my husband speaks to him every day.
But here's the thing. He is responding to some customers.
And I say, well, you owe me $1,415. And he says, I will.
And he recently refunded Frierson $1,000, a little more than half.
The Christian in me would say, I don't think he should go to jail, but he needs to be stopped.
He's been communicating with us, too. Frerking texted us a statement this afternoon and says all of the customers have received their installations, been refunded, or are in the process of being refunded. I intend to complete all refunds, and I regret all inconvenience and delay. We just received that, guys.
All right. So it sounds like he's trying to get some of the money back to the people, but if he sold his business, what's he doing pre-selling these straw contracts or to people, unless he started another straw business? I don't know. This is very odd. And Adam Sparks and Mike Wilson, looks like Tyler Whetstone, have been keeping up with this, and they are investigating a charge of theft by deception. It says no charges have been filed at Fulton County, where both departments lie as of June 12th. The case has been assigned to a criminal investigation division for determination if probable cause exists for criminal charges. It says he had run up $16,400 in unpaid debt in a Nashville neighborhood where he got evicted from 2 apartments in a swanky Nashville neighborhood. He was also a part-time consultant for UT since July 2023. And I think I read that he was making $15,000 a year, which over 2 years, 30 grand. I didn't even know Tennessee had a job that paid $15,000 a year. So it must have been some little independent contractor type thing. And it said that he advised, his duties included advising Coach Heupel on off-field matters, consulting staff members on best practices, representing the Vols program at public events. So I'm sure Josh is really appreciating this.
Can you remind me what I pay you people for? Honestly, throw me a bone here. Shit.
Said Frerking did not respond to numerous Knox News requests for comment. It said Frerking left the company. I guess that was the company who was running the straw business back in July of 2021. It says Metro Straw and former owner Grant Frerking have parted ways for 2 years. Metro Straw does not associate with Grant Frerking in any way. It talks about his evictions. It says a limo company filed a civil claim against Frerking for $2,500. What was he using a limo for? The plaintiff said he was hired as Frerking's private driver at $75 an hour. Okay. Guy had a limo and his own private driver. I think I'm starting to understand kind of what's going on here. It sounds like he started kind of living the high life of, I'm this big time CEO. Everybody's talking about me, how great I am, all that sort of stuff. Now he's got a private driver and a limo. Okay, I'm starting to see why he needs money. And also, he was working for On3. They have let him go. And Shannon Terry, who's the CEO, said he never told us that he was working as a consultant for Tennessee, which obviously you're not allowed to do if you're going to be working for On3. So if I had to guess, this guy was living high on the hog and he needed money. And he was probably borrowing from Peter to pay Paul, and eventually that runs out. So we'll see what happens with the young man. Maybe, look, this may not be horrible. It may just be where he owes a certain amount of money that he can pay off over time. But what a mess. I mean, this guy, and that's the thing when you start believing your press clippings and you start thinking you're all that and everybody's praising you. You were 15 years old, you had your own company, and you're a walk-on at Tennessee, NIL. Everybody thinks you're great, and you're doing all these interviews, and they're talking about how wonderful you are. You start believing it, and next thing you know, I need my own driver. I need a swanky apartment, and I need 2 swanky apartments in Nashville, and I need a limo. And if I had to guess, that's what I'd say has happened here. He's just completely outspent the money coming in, and now the crap's hit the fan, because at some point when you're overspending, it's going to happen. That door is going to slam you right in the face, and people are going to be like, where's my money?
Where's my money? Where's my money? Yeah, you got money to pay for fake mustaches, huh?
And that's what's happening. Everybody wants their money back. So if he can work out a repayment plan with these folks, they probably won't press charges, but who knows? And if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Let's me know to continue to cover all these big college sports stories. If you've not subscribed, boom, 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 hit that button right there. It will not cost you a dime. Help you get my videos. And right over here is the most recent video YouTube thinks you'll enjoy. We'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.
Man's got to know his limitations.